All right, let's dive into something pretty wild today. We're going to explore that fascinating place where farming meets computer science. We're actually going to build a plant, a head of lettuce to be exact, using nothing but lines of code. You heard that right. Let's get into it. I want you to just imagine this for a second. What if you had a virtual greenhouse running on your laptop? A place where you could plant a digital seed and watch it grow into a full-grown plant ready for harvest. This isn't some far-off sci-fi idea. It's a concept called a digital twin, and we're about to unpack exactly how code can mimic the entire life of a lettuce plant, piece by piece. So here's our game plan. Think of this as the recipe for our digital plant. First, we'll lay out the basic blueprint. Then, we'll figure out how a plant even tells time. It's not what you think. We'll give it some DNA, teach it the rules of how to grow, and then we'll see what happens when we throw some problems at it. And finally, we'll watch the whole thing come to life over 30 virtual days. Okay, first things first. Before we can start growing, we need a blueprint. So, what exactly is this thing we're building? The whole concept is called a digital twin. It's a complete computer simulation that's designed to act just like its real-world counterpart. Now, the goal here isn't just to make a pretty 3D model of a plant. The real magic is creating a model so accurate that we can use it to test things, like different watering schedules or weather patterns, to predict how well a plant will grow and maybe, just maybe, figure out how to grow our food better in the real world. Now, if you want to build a realistic plant, you have to learn to think like a plant. And here's the first big mind bender. Plants don't use a clock to tell time. Nope, they use a thermometer. This amazing idea is called thermal time, and the best way to think about it is like a currency. Every day, depending on the temperature, the plant earns a certain amount of this heat currency. It then spends that currency to do stuff, like push out a new leaf. So a cold day, it barely earns anything. A nice warm day, cha-ching, payday. Seriously, our rigid 24-hour day is completely meaningless to a head of lettuce. For the plant, one really hot day might feel like 3 days' worth of progress, while a chilly day might feel like time has just stopped. Our model is even smart enough to know that if the temperature drops below 4 degrees Celsius or skyrockets past 35, that's it. Everything just pauses. No growth, nothing. Okay, so our plant understands time. Plant style. Now we need to give it an identity. We have to code in its unique genetic instructions that define exactly what kind of lettuce it's going to be. This table right here, this is basically the plant's DNA, written out as code parameters. It's the plant's ID card. It defines everything about it. It knows it has a hard limit of 25 leaves. It knows the price of a new leaf is exactly 45 units of that thermal time currency we talked about. And it knows its absolute happy place, its sweet spot for temperature. This spec sheet is the very soul of our virtual lettuce. And let's just zoom in on this one parameter because it is so crucial. That 18 to 24 degrees Celsius range, staying inside that window is like giving the plant a green light for growth every single day. The second it gets too hot or too cold, growth starts to slow down. It's this kind of precision that makes the whole simulation actually work. So, we've got a plant, it has a clock, it has its DNA. Now for the fun part. It's time to teach it the most fundamental rules of life, how to actually grow. You know, the logic for making a new leaf is just so elegant. Every day, the plant takes the thermal time it earned and puts it into a savings account. It just keeps saving. And once that account balance hits 45, ding, it spends that energy, a brand new leaf pops out, and the savings account resets to 0. And it just starts saving all over again for the next one. It's this simple, beautiful, repeating cycle. But of course, a leaf doesn't just appear fully formed. It has its own little life cycle, and it all starts in the emerging stage. You can think of it like a newborn. It's there, but it's still tiny and coiled up. The code actually makes it wait, just gathering a tiny bit of thermal time before it's ready for its big growth spurt. It perfectly mimics how a real leaf slowly unfurls. So after emerging, the leaf blasts into its expanding phase. This is basically its teenage growth spurt. Every single day, the code calculates exactly how much bigger that leaf gets based on temperature and, whether it has enough resources, things that drive cell division and expansion in the real world. This goes on until the leaf has banked about 300 thermal time units, and at that point, it's considered a mature adult. And the final stage in any leaf's life is senescing. This is basically old age. Growth just stops, cold. In fact, the leaf starts to slowly lose its area. just like how older leaves on a real plant yellow and die off to send their energy to the newer, more productive leaves. And as we're about to see, stress can kick a leaf into this stage way too early. You know, a perfect world is great for a simulation, but reality is messy. A really powerful model has to be able to handle the challenges a real plant faces, like not having enough water or nutrients in the soil. The way the model handles stress is actually pretty clever. It just uses multipliers. So let's say there's a water shortage. The code might apply a water factor of 0.5. And that means for that day, no matter how good the temperature is, the leaf can only achieve half of its potential growth. And if you add nutrient stress on top of that, the penalty gets even bigger. It lets us simulate things like drought or bad soil with incredible accuracy. All right, the moment of truth. We had the clock, we had the DNA, we have the rules of growth, and we even have the stress factors. All the pieces are here, so let's put it all together, let's run the simulation for 30 days and watch our lettuce grow. And here we go. On day 1, it's just a tiny thing, starting with its 2 little initial leaves. But by day 10, check it out. It's in a major growth spurt, already up to 9 leaves. Fast forward to day 20, and we're at 18 leaves. And you can see some of those older ones are hitting their max size. By the end of the month, boom, it hits its genetic limit of 25 leaves. It is ready for a virtual harvest. And the final numbers just prove how explosive this growth is. Look at day 10. The total leaf area is tiny, just 0.024 square meters. But by day 28, it's jumped to 0.165. That's almost 7 times bigger. This table is the direct result of our code, translating all those rules and all those parameters into real measurable growth. And this is why this is so much more than just a cool programming exercise. By building these digital twins, we can test thousands of different what-if scenarios. What if we change the watering schedule? What if there's a heat wave? What if we use a different fertilizer? We can do all of that without ever planting a single seed in the ground. It's an unbelievably powerful tool for building a smarter, more resilient food supply for all of us. And that really brings us to the biggest question of all. We just walked through how to build one single head of lettuce inside a computer. So, what happens when we can accurately model an entire field or an entire farm's ecosystem? The possibilities are just staggering to think about. Thanks for diving into this with me.